So if you've been on the internet for the past 24 hours, you would know that the talk of the video game world is of course about the worst kept secret in video games, the Nintendo Switch Mini, which is now known as the Nintendo Switch Lite. And we got a whole bunch of videos from different people talking about the system because it's fun to talk about new hardware. I mean, if you're a video game channel, you should talk about fun stuff like this. But you might have seen some videos pop up late last night or early this morning talking about a potential second Nintendo Switch revision that has recently been discovered. I know Spawnwave touched on it briefly in Newswave this morning, and that was based on information that was discovered last night. Well, today, very recently, some more information has been essentially data mined about this second Nintendo Switch model that could be coming this year, it could be coming next year, but there's definitely some very interesting things, and a lot of people are saying that this could potentially be what the Nintendo Switch Pro is. Are these the first details that are being discovered by data miners about a Nintendo Switch Pro model? It looks like that's what we might have, and honestly, it might be a bit different than what you or I thought the Nintendo Switch Pro was going to be. So what are these details about? What was this information from last night, and what just was recently discovered? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about why these new Nintendo Switch rumors would be big if true.
Hey, RGT85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my god, it's Stevie Richards! So basically, a new filing was done by Nintendo that was spotted on the internet about the Nintendo Switch model. Now, this has nothing to do with the Nintendo Switch Mini because it looks like this will be impacting the original Nintendo Switch model, as the original filing for this was done in late 2016. Basically, what is said in this revised filing is that they want to change an SoC type, change of NAND memory type, and the CPU board is changed due to the above components. Now, what's interesting about that is it looks like it is a somewhat revision of the current Nintendo Switch model on the marketplace, because if they're doing things within the components from the original filing of this patent back with the FCC from December of 2016, obviously they're trying to do something so they don't have to get a new patent for a new product by simply changing the innards of the current Nintendo Switch model. Now, honestly, that sort of does make sense, because when you look at what the Nintendo Switch is using, a lot of these components are dated technology. Of course, I don't mean necessarily outdated technology, just dated technology. A lot of things like cell phone and mobile different devices and power units and chips are constantly changing. They're constantly evolving. Look at Nvidia with the Tegra that is used in the Nintendo Switch. There have been massive revisions to the Tegra since the Nintendo Switch has launched. Some people feel that this could have to do with a potential another sort of listing for the Nintendo Switch, potentially phasing out the original Nintendo Switch model. But all we know from this information is that there is some sort of differentiating things happening with the Nintendo Switch. But where things get really interesting is from a data miner who has supposedly discovered a bunch of stuff within Nintendo Switch updates over the past few months and has now pretty much assembled all of this information together. Now, various websites are reporting on this. For this video, I will be using Nintendo Everything's write-up of this. I'll have a link to it in the description box down below if you'd rather read it, but then my feelings would just be hurt because I'd rather you watch me talk about it. But they basically have bullet points for this, and I want to go over these bullet points and tell you guys what I think about them. Alright, so according to this data miner, whose name is Mike Heskin, and you can find him on Twitter, I'll have a link to his Twitter in the comment section down below, you basically have a bunch of different information that he has just given on his Twitter account. The first bit of information is since firmware 5.0, there has been support for 3 hardware lines, one with the original Tegra 210, and 2 for the new Tegra 214. Marico is the name of that. So obviously, the Tegra 210 is what is in your current Nintendo Switch, and they're probably using the Tegra 214 in what is going to be the Nintendo Switch Lite. But if there's 3 different pieces of hardware using this and we only know about 2 pieces of hardware, it seems like there has to be a 3rd piece of hardware out there. Could this be alluding to the Nintendo Switch Pro or whatever the hell they're going to call it? I definitely think it could be. Those 2 hardware lines are known as Nintendo Switch Lite and Nintendo Switch New. The original Switch has 4 gigabytes of RAM and 6 gigabytes for the dev kit. The new models have support for both 4 gigabytes and 8 gigabytes of RAM. So that's a substantial upgrade in RAM, which would then give the system more power to do different things. It's not a huge sort of thing, you know, as far as a huge jump from like a console generation to a console generation, but as far as a system refresh is concerned, or a potential 3rd pillar in a family of systems, it is definitely an incremental upgrade. Both Switch Lite and Switch New use LPDDR4X DRAM, which grants a small battery boost due to lower voltages. Now, one thing I do want to clarify is yesterday in my Nintendo Switch Lite video, I said that it looked like the battery life was essentially the same as the current Nintendo Switch, as this is a portable system, and I was a bit disappointed by that. It seems like Nintendo has actually corrected that statement and added about an hour or two of additional battery life to the Nintendo Switch Mini. Now, personally, I still feel that that's a bit low for a portable system, as this is going to be only a portable system until a third-party company comes along and, you know, does a dock for it or something like that. But I do want to clarify that because I definitely misspoke, and Nintendo has since corrected that information. So it looks like whatever battery is being used in the Nintendo Switch Lite will be essentially used in this new Nintendo Switch model. The Switch Lite has a smaller screen and non-detachable controllers, while the new Switch should have the exact same form factor. So whatever this system is going to be, whether it's a stealth swap of the current Nintendo Switch on the marketplace, or indeed a whole new SKU and a whole new revision to the Nintendo Switch, it looks like this will have both portable and docked mode so that you'll be able to play these games on TV. I think a lot of people are expecting something like that with the Nintendo Switch Pro. Obviously, people that are wanting to play these games in the highest resolution possible are the ones that are going to gravitate towards whatever the system is going to be. So it definitely makes sense that it'll have the same form factor as being a portable system and a console as well. The GPU in the new Switch is clocked at higher values than the Switch Lite, potentially giving a modest performance boost. Now, as far as the GPU is concerned, we've actually seen people like Modern Vintage Gamer that have actually hacked their Nintendo Switch to give it a GPU boost, to overclock the GPU and see what it's capable of. And honestly, when you overclock the GPU of the system, it's not really that big of a deal. When you're playing The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild in handheld mode, it's actually overclocking the GPU for that game to get those graphics running on a tablet-like system. Now, obviously, that was a bit of because of the fact that they were, you know, still new to the Nintendo Switch's hardware, but that's why when you play The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, your battery drains so quickly, because the GPU in the system is running overtime. However, we already talked about how this system is potentially going to have the new battery that is featured in the Nintendo Switch Lite, which will be extending the life of that battery. So it may end up being a bit longer, or it may end up being around the same if we're overclocking the GPU of this system. Larger than 32GB memory is possible in the new units. Two models have been found in the firmware, codenames Iowa and codename Calico, and it's speculated that one will have more internal storage. There's absolutely no evidence of an actual Pro version in the sense that it would be based off of Tegra X2 or have massive performance and or memory improvements. Now, I think that's where things could be a bit of a letdown for current Nintendo Switch owners who are hoping for something crazy with this system. Obviously, it doesn't look like, if this is based on what the Nintendo Switch Pro is going to be, it's not going to be a super huge improvement. There will be marginal improvements. I think it'll still be something along the lines of a PS4 Pro to a PS4, or an Xbox One X to an Xbox One. If you're overclocking the GPU and you're allowing developers more RAM to develop their games, you're going to have a boost in performance. You're going to have a boost in memory. It's just not a huge boost. A lot of people are thinking that there could be a sequel to the Nintendo Switch coming out on the marketplace already, and I'm just like, no, that's absolutely crazy. Even looking at Nintendo themselves and their history of handhelds, ever since the most popular handhelds that they've had recently, the DS and the 3DS, look at how many different revisions there were for those systems that did things exactly like it looks like whatever this system, the Nintendo Switch Pro potentially, is going to do for the Nintendo Switch. When you look at the original Nintendo DS, you had the Nintendo DS, you had the Nintendo DS Lite, and you had the Nintendo DSi. The Nintendo DSi could do more than what the Nintendo DS could do. It had things like better screens, it had things like extended battery life, and of course it had more features. When you look at the 3DS, holy crap, they did a whole bunch of systems with that. They did higher price point entries with things like the new 3DS XL. They of course did bigger entries with the 3DS XL, and then they did budget entries with the 2DS and the 2DS XL. So there's a lot more wiggle room when you're talking about a handheld console, and since the video game marketplace has really sort of adapted these mid-generation refreshes, I think a Nintendo Switch Pro model based on these specs actually makes a lot of sense. It's not going to be, you know, 4K 60 frames or 120 frames per second. You're not going to be running, you know, all sorts of crazy games on here all of a sudden, but I do think it opens the door quite a bit more for developers that are interested in the Nintendo Switch to come and put their games on the system. Obviously, when you look at something like the PS5 and the Xbox One success for looming on the horizon, Nintendo probably has to do something in terms of power. And I think hitting baseline specs, whatever that this system could potentially bring to the marketplace, would probably suffice in terms of what's going to happen. We still don't know a lot of information about the PS5 and the Xbox One. We've heard some technical mumbo jumbo, but as far as actually using it and practicality is concerned, we have not seen much. So I'll be very interested to see if this system comes to light. But I definitely think there is something going on with this. I think it's smart for Nintendo to have 3 different pillars on the marketplace. Some people, like I said, they feel that Nintendo's just going to implement these upgrades into the current Nintendo Switch model and then just sort of phase out the one that we have on the marketplace without renaming it or anything like that. But I feel like that would be a bit of an injustice to the Nintendo Switch if you're doing that. Obviously, this system will pack a bit more oomph. Why not have your baseline model with the Nintendo Switch, your cheaper model with the Nintendo Switch Lite, and then your premium model with the Nintendo Switch Pro? I think it's a smart business decision, and I'm definitely looking forward to more information on this. Like I said, if you want to read the nitty-gritty about it, I'll have the links to the Nintendo Everything write-up and the original data miners information in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys check it out, but I want to hear your guys' feedback on this. Do you think this is enough of an improvement to warrant a new system such as a Nintendo Switch Pro? Do you think this information would make Switch games run better and really sort of open the doors to maybe potentially more games coming to the system? Or do you think Nintendo is just going to potentially throw this in a Nintendo Switch, phase out the original Nintendo Switch that's on the marketplace, and just go about business as usual? Let me know in the comment section down below, and as always guys, thank you for checking out this video. The Switch Mini views from yesterday were absolutely crazy. Definitely big if true. If you like the big if true shirt, make sure you look at the description box down below. I got these on sale right now. Make sure, just click the link and it'll take you to my little t-shirt shop that I have. I don't really ever promote it, but I know a lot of people seem to like this shirt. And as always guys, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.